take a couple of hours to tow the family back to harbour, but in Dorset, the helicopter crew are back at the scene of the rescue. A lifeboat is already there and has picked up a third casualty who's in a critical condition.
Hey, Purple. I just wanted to get in and get this one off. He might still have a spark of life in him.
I reckon so.
We're not sure he's dead. We've got to give him every chance.
Yeah. Buck's in the door.
Clear the winch. You're just safe single engine now.
Understood. Buck's going out.
To recover the casualty, the helicopter maintains an altitude of just 40 feet. The winchman now has to land on a boat 8 feet wide, and it's a choppy sea.
It's 3:30 at 4. Still winching out. Still winching. Boat's 3 o'clock at 1. Still winching out. Over the bows. Still over the bows. Boat's fallen on the stern. 4, 3, 2. Steady. Steady. Okay, steady. Back, one and right. We're on the other side at the moment. Board. Buck's over the side. On. Steady. Steady. On the deck now. Winching in. Come left 4. Left 3. Left 2. Empty hook. Winching in. Right off the winch. About 10 foot off the waterline. Buck's only 1 o'clock at about 5. Forward 1. Forward 1. Winching in now. Coming off. All clear. Okay, forward and right. Winching in all the time. Let's get away. Straight to Dorchester then. Straight to Dorch. Yep.
The third casualty, a man in his 30s, is on his way to hospital. The poor sea conditions are not confined to Dorset. Over in Cornwall, the surf is rolling in.
Announcement on the beach today. If you have small children, you're taking them down the water, make sure you're with them at all times. Very busy today, very easy to lose your children. Thank you.
Ross Elliott, an experienced surfer, is working his second summer on the Newquay beaches.
Should have been in radio.
Alongside him is Aussie lifeguard Matt Tiller. It's his first season in Newquay, but the injuries are all too familiar.
Yeah, no, that should be right. That's close it up there. There's boards going everywhere all the time. People flicking their boards off everywhere, falling off boards. There's always bound to be, you know, a couple of board injuries, and those hard boards, they can really do some damage if they hit you, especially in the head.
Keel's over and you haven't seen the guy, you know, go down or whatever. You know, it's literally minutes to, you know, if someone is, say for instance, someone's having a heart attack, you know, 2 minutes difference there is gonna make it's gonna be a big difference whether that guy's gonna walk next week or if he isn't, you know.
But the biggest threat today is the surf, and another of the lifeguards, Danny Deakin, has spotted something wrong.
There's a guy well out the back waving, which is a bit worrying because a guy that far out in waves today means there's something seriously wrong. He's just not an ordinary punter. He wouldn't have got out there, so I suspect he's probably got some sort of injury.
First, you can sometimes just like slap the water, and it makes you, especially if you hit your ear, it kind of affects you, you know, your orientation. Like if he's inhaled water and stuff like that, then he's got water in his lungs, and then, you know, he's probably in a bad way then. And it depends how exhausted he is, you know. Like sometimes, you know, he's just gonna inevitably, you know, as time goes on, you're gonna give up, like you haven't got any energy left.
Back in Dorset, there's tragic news. The man picked up from the lifeboat has been pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital.
That wasn't what we expected at all. It was a bit of a shock. Quite a big shock. There's so many people involved. The little boy, well, we don't know. Let's hope he gets through. This is quite a shock.
Well, that was pretty awful. I think you've realised that. We're pretty sure we've had one fatality. I think we're all amazed at the sea conditions. A number of people are in the water, but we'll find out more details as time goes on. We just hope the little boy can be saved.
We've all seen death many times, but if you get there and you've not been able to do anything about it, then it leaves you feeling pretty flat. You leave work not on a high but on a low. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate this, but you do feel it, even though you've seen it for so many years. But you get over it perhaps more quickly than most people would, because you see it so regularly.
In Newquay, Tiller has reached the surfer. Now he's got to bring him back through the breakers.
Yeah, the guy's walking wounded. He's obviously had some sort of knock, so we're going to have to evaluate him for a while. So I'm just going to sit him down, put him on oxygen, watch him for a while.
Tiller takes the relieved surfer back to the hut for treatment. And over in Brixham, the rescued family are within sight of sanctuary.
The main lifeboat listed in Torquay Harbour would need to be alongside the wall and not the pontoons, ever.
Yeah, Roger, all copy. Thanks for your help. We'll see you shortly. It's just a courtesy call, really, to let Torquay Harbour know that we're coming in towing a vessel and to find a free berth for us all. So, just politeness. Yeah, I'll just knock out a gear now. You can put it on the capstan, all right?
It's a world away from everyday life.
I had an appointment with the accountant at 1 o'clock. I'm late. Never mind. He'll forgive me, hopefully.
For the family, it's a mixture of relief and embarrassment.
Barnacle Bill in his broken boat. You can see it now.
Bring their blood sugar up.
Oh, look at that.
What do you say?
They're not all for you, big heads.
Always give sweets to the kids, yeah. Brings their blood sugar up, helps them feel a bit better.
The engines not working was one thing, that was fine. Knowing there was water coming in as well and not knowing where the water was coming from makes you panic a little bit. And then of course you want to not show that you're panicking for the children. She started to worry a bit. He wasn't very fussed, but she worried, and then she said she felt sick down in the cabin.
They were fine. They were fine. I was a little bit embarrassed, but it takes quite a lot to see this great big orange thing appearing from nowhere. So
Hopefully I won't see you again.
yeah, good job that. Satisfying job.
Welcoming Roger ashore is his 3-year-old son.
What are you doing here? Come here.
In Newquay, the rescued surfer needs a bit of TLC.
Are you feeling tired at all, mate? Is that from surfing though, do you think?
I was out there
flailing about for, I don't know, ages.
No, that's just exhausted.
Exhausted, I think.
If you've had a bang in the head, you might have a concussion or something like that, you know. But you know, massive lumps. Where did you bang your head on?
Right on the top here.
Yeah, you know big.
I think it was more disorientated and I was throwing up.
Yeah.
I was like, I swear I'm not in water.
It's probably,
And I was right at the back and I just had no energy.
That oxygen's wicked stuff, I'll sort you right out.
Yeah, I just got nailed.
Yeah. Cheers, fella. No worries, man.
One life saved by Mr. Teller. Sterling job. And I'm landed with the paperwork.
But the paperwork will have to wait.
Not another one.
I'm not sure. That's definitely a hospital job.
Really? Yeah.
Definitely. Do you want to go and get changed, mate?
Yeah, sure.
Just don't touch, leave hand. It looks like a piece of fiberglass, but it could be just a bit of skin. So I don't want to touch that at all.
The boys send her straight to hospital.
Complications of that could be pretty full on, really. So I couldn't. It looked like she might have had a piece of fiberglass in there, but I don't know. I've got a feeling it might just be skin. But that's pretty bad. It's gonna hurt. That.
It's been a tough day for all the Coast Guard services. But 4 days later, there's more bad news. The little boy who was washed out to sea near Portland died in hospital. 7-year-old Jack Shelton never regained consciousness. His mother Debbie almost drowned herself in the attempt to save him.
The worst memory I've got is of him waving at me, the other side of the wave. We couldn't get to him because the waves were just too big. My main feeling is guilt and helplessness, because although I didn't know what the sea was like, I'm his mother, so I almost feel like it rests on me that you've got to be there for your children no matter what. And I couldn't do it that day.
The man who died that day was 35-year-old Michael Beatwell. He was on holiday with his family when he saw Jack in trouble and went in to try to save him. Jack's dad, Steve, will never forget him.
I feel that the help that Michael gave in contributing to saving my son's life was phenomenal, and I can only say that I'm very sorry to the family that it's turned out the way it has.
Well, we know his wife doesn't want him to be called a hero, but I'm afraid under the circumstances that is what he is, really, to be honest.
Well, it's a tragedy. I mean, unfortunately, he lost his life doing the very best he could to save someone else's child as well. So my heart goes out to his family now, and hope they can get over this as best they can.
The only survivor is the pool attendant, Steve Dawson, who also went in to try and save Jack.
The helicopters weren't there that day, I would have died, and I wouldn't be here talking to you. Yeah, it's a little bit scary to be thinking about that right now. I didn't have any inch of energy in my body, and they dragged me from my arms into the helicopter and put me in a basically lying down position, and from there on in I was just really relieved and so happy that I was in the plane. I just couldn't believe it. It was just such a great feeling.
The beach is owned by a holiday park. At the inquest, the coroner urged the company to introduce safety measures to prevent more deaths. Danger signs have now gone up. Jack's family wanted us to tell his story as a warning to everyone.
Had there been a sign, I was worried I'd missed a sign, and I was thinking, I've left my children in a beach, in the sea, that's dangerous, and there's a sign somewhere and I've missed it. But it turned out there wasn't even a sign to say that sea was dangerous.
As all notorious beaches, there should have been some kind of warning, I feel anyways.
Jack didn't stand a chance in that sea whatsoever. No. And had we known that, he wouldn't have been in it.
The whole of the Chesil Beach is known to be very dangerous. I remember swimming there. Well, I wasn't allowed to swim there as a child. My parents used to take me there as a child, and I wasn't allowed to swim there because it was known to be dangerous. So yes, it's a very dangerous beach.
Oh, everyone who tried to help Jack. Yeah. Very, very grateful, even though he didn't make it. He nearly did.
Well, I think there are a number of basic principles that I'd like people to be aware of. Check that it's safe where you intend to go swimming. Ask the locals, for example. Keep an eye on the weather, keep an eye on the tide, and let somebody know where you're going and what time you expect to be back. And hopefully we can prevent something like this, tragic like this, happening again.
Next week on Danger on the Beach, it's the hottest day ever recorded in Britain. And the Coast Guard looks set to break their own record for the most rescues in one day.
Steady, over the guardrail.
In Newquay, the lifeguards have their hands full as the heat takes its toll. And the helicopter crew rescue a boy run over by a jet ski.
It's a very strange name, isn't it, Nog?
I love this job.
On the BBC.
New talent on the BBC, all next week.
Remembering a great man.
We're here to salute a king of comedy.
And a supreme entertainer.
Everybody laughed when I first said I wanted to be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now, are they?
Join an all-star gathering for Bob Monkhouse, a Bafta tribute. Sunday at 9 on BBC One.
Meet the people who stop illegal food getting into the UK. The food police are on duty here on BBC One in half an hour.
Hello and welcome to Inside Out Extra. Tonight we're here in Sommerset, exposing the men who make a fortune out of the puppy trade.
Going undercover to reveal the pets condemned to life on a puppy farm.
We took him to the vet and 5 hours later he died.
Stubbing out Britain's deadliest habit, what really happens when you ban smoking in the pub.
Where have all the smokers gone? Have they all left?
And inside Somerset's most significant underground discovery for more than 100 years.
With the stories the others miss, I'm Morland Sanders and this is Inside Out Extra. Man's best friend, or so the cliche goes, but it doesn't always seem that relationship is entirely two-way. Some regard puppies as nothing more than profit. Chris Packham went undercover to expose the puppy farmers of the South Coast.
This is Apsara. She's 3 months old and she's sick. She could cost hundreds of pounds in vet's bills to make better. Or she could die and break your heart. That's what happens when you buy a pet from a puppy farm. Ask the owners of Storm, an Alsatian puppy that died within days of arriving at his new home.
By the Sunday morning, we come down from bed and Storm was lying on the floor by his water bowl, literally just dying in front of our eyes. We took him to the vet and 5 hours later he died.
And this is where Storm and dozens more sick and dying dogs were sold to unsuspecting animal lovers by John Lowe.
We want
to go and buy you for the dressage whip. It don't hurt him, but it surprises him.
This is the rather grand entrance to Keeper's Cottage Stud near Farnham in Surrey. Now, we were so worried about conditions for animals here that we decided to send in an undercover vet to find out why breeder John Lowe's dissatisfied customers wanted his puppy farm closed down. Demands that had been ignored for years by the local council.
So how old are these fellas in here? Well, the biggest one's about 16 weeks, the other about...
Our vet's going to have to buy a puppy if he wants to get a closer look.
So how much are you charging for the... Well, they're normally 3, 4, 5.
The breeder, John Lowe, doesn't let his customers into his pens, but expects them to pick the one they want from the other side of a wire grill.
When you go to the door, then you'll see...
All the puppies are scratching, and it's obvious that they've got problems. Their reaction when the owner enters the kennels is also abnormal. Far from rushing towards him, most bark and run away. He actually has to chase and grab the one we want to see, by the scruff of the neck.
It's a bit... All right.
These are not confident and healthy animals, but Mr. Lowe insists they are.
Bark at him. Hello. Yeah, dopey. Because I picked up on dopey all of a sudden.
Sweet thing.
As our investigation continues, we meet a stream of people who bought sick and dying dogs from Mr. Lowe.
I purchased the Rottweiler in May of last year. Within about 3 days, it hadn't been eating and it was obviously very ill. So I took it to a vet and it consequently died of parvo about 6 days later.
We were appalled at what we saw. We were both crying, my daughter and I, and there was a pen with about 20 odd Westies, plus some Cairns and plus some Beagle puppies. We weren't allowed to touch them. We had to stand by the grill, the bars, and he just held them up by the scruff of their neck. Would you like this one? And it was the first one he picked up because I couldn't go through it. And we were just in floods of tears over these puppies. He was soaking wet with urine, his smell, and the fleas. And in hindsight, we should have had more sense, but I just saw this scrap and I had to have him.
And then there was Nellie, one of Mr. Lowe's breeding bitches. She's only 2, and she's already had 2 cesareans within months of each other. She was sold because she could no longer have puppies.
The first obvious problem was that her weight. She's grossly overweight. She's absolutely covered in flea dirt, which has made her skin quite sore. She's got ear infections in both ears. She's just incredibly subdued. She's not like a beagle at all, really.
Like Nellie, our puppy behaves like a zombie. She's incredibly lethargic. We've only just got her, and the vet's bills begin.
John, here we are. Sorriest puppy in Christendom. We've noticed that she's got a few friends.
1 or 2, yes.
A few ectoparasites,
No,
otherwise
bright
known
light.
as fleas. Look at that, there. Look.
Absolutely covered. You can actually see them moving on the coat, can't you?
Yeah, you can. I've got a couple going on my sleeve as we speak. There we are.
Nice collection of little ear mites running around in here.
Might have a look.
Yes, you can just see those little white dots. Those are ear mites.
Oh, yeah.
It really is most extraordinary that you are still in this day and age able to go to somewhere which is basically a farm, animals kept on farm conditions on straw. Really, he gave no concern whatsoever about who I was or what I wanted the dog for. He was just simply interested in selling the dog. This, to me, looks like mange. I don't think there's much doubt about that.
Our test results show she does have mange. She's also infested with worms and has a severe gut infection which is highly contagious.
The sort of thing that I saw quite frequently 30 years ago, and I really thought that these sort of places now no longer existed.
Following our investigation, Waverley Borough Council decided not to renew Mr. Lowe's licence. But why did it take them so long to act when their own inspecting vet had written 2 secret reports alleging cruelty at the kennels? In August last year, he said the RSPCA should be consulted at the highest level. And again in January, he said it was cruel to have dogs chained up in all weathers, and one guard dog he saw had raw sores all over its body. The only lucky ones, he said, were the pups that got sold, and who then stood the chance of a decent life. Waverley Council says it can't comment because it doesn't want to prejudice an appeal. As for Mr. Lowe...
Lay down, stupid ass!
Although he did speak to us on the phone, he didn't want to be interviewed. Instead, he agreed that we could speak to his vet, Philip Underwood. Mr. Underwood says that until our investigation, he hadn't been to the kennels for 3 years. He's now visiting fortnightly and says he's introducing systems to ensure conditions, which he admits were bad, do improve.
Yes, they were pretty bad. There's no question about it. They were pretty bad. And until we get this in place, they will remain to be pretty bad. How can one guarantee that that pup comes from that bitch? How can we find out, be absolutely sure that bitch hasn't had 2 litters a year? How can we be absolutely sure? But on the other hand, suppose he doesn't get his licence. What happens to them all then?
Mr. Lowe's licence expires tomorrow. A preliminary appeal is due to be heard on April the 1st. Now, in the meantime, our puppy's gone to a new home, where she's been put on a crash course to learn the social skills she missed out on when she grew up with Mr. Lowe.
Chris Packham on the trail of the South Coast puppy farmers. Still to come, underground with the potholers who made the discovery of the century. Millions light up in a pub, but health officials in the northeast want a ban on smoking in public places. So our reporter Chris Jackson decided to organise an experiment to see what would happen if the doctors get their way.
Welcome to New York, the city that never sleeps, and now the city that never smokes. 6 months ago, smoking was banned in all public places. That's some 20,000 bars, clubs and restaurants. I'm here to check it out.
New York isn't the only place in the US to ban smoking, it's just the most famous. The aim is to make it so difficult to smoke, people give up. It also protects non-smokers.
I think the smoking ban's great. I think every bar in the city was bracing for it. From a health standpoint, it's been great. I wake up breathing easier. I go to bed breathing easier. I just think, you won't be able to tell the true impact. I think you tell later in life when you realize that you haven't had to breathe secondhand smoke 10 hours a day.
The difference now is it's beautiful. You go home, your clothes smell good. It's not in my hair anymore. It's great. And every once in a while, someone will just light up and say, hey buddy, you gotta go outside, and everyone has been very respectful of it. People just put it out, go outside.
There it is, the smoking lounge, 8th Avenue.
They've imposed the ban here in New York, but how will it go down back home? Well, we're about to find out. We've taken one Tyneside pub and thrust it into the future.
The customers don't know it yet, but for the next few hours, this pub will become a smoke-free zone.
Tonight I'm going to give my customers an opportunity to see what the future's like. It could go either way. We could get a mass walkout, we could get a round of applause. I haven't got a clue.
The ban will start at 8:30. We will be removing the ashtrays and we will be putting no smoking signs on all the tables. So those of you that are smoking, I'm afraid, this is a view into the future that may be. Because if this ban takes place, you won't be able to walk out of here and go to another bar and smoke. You won't be able to smoke anywhere.
That's it, now put those fags out, come on. Put those cigarettes out.
While landlords will have to enforce the law, it's the North's health gurus who are pushing for it to be brought in, and pushing hard.
People have tried to reduce smoking through all sorts of routes. The best evidence from around the world we've got of what really tackles smoking is helping people to give up. And one of the real keys to helping them give up is that public places don't allow smoking, that workplaces don't allow smoking, that you can go to a restaurant and you're not encouraged to smoke after a meal because it isn't allowed.
Back in the local, where we've ordered people not to smoke, things are hotting up.
So I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to put the cigarette out. I want you to stop smoking as well, Mr. Grimes. You're the worst. What happens if you say no? Is he gone to the toilet for a quick smoke? That's what it'll be. Where have all the smokers gone? Have they all left?
I'd like to have a choice if I could sit in an area where I could smoke
definitely.
So if this was a real ban, what would you do? If it was, if this was the law, which is possibly going to happen.
I wouldn't come in. We go in there, we drink more, and we smoke more. So the government make too much money. And a simple fact, it'll not happen.
People say this stuff like they're going like, oh, we're going to ban smoking in pubs because it's bad for people. But they're in a pub drinking drink, which is bad for you.
It's a great thing. They don't have the right. They don't have the right to pollute it. If we want to smoke in a smoky atmosphere, that's our choice. Them don't have to go into it, right? They can walk anywhere they like. They've got all the fresh air they like. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to impose on anyone else, but you've got to have a choice.
The pub's divided. While some enjoy the clean air inside, others vote with their feet.
But the new law isn't to everyone's taste here in New York. Far from it.
Opponents say New York's nightlife has been snuffed out and the city's streets look like ashtrays. They want the mayor to can the ban.
I've already laid off 2 doormen. In fact, now on Saturdays, I have my husband working the door, and if it's not a busy night, I don't have to pay him. Usually I'll have 2 bartenders on Saturdays. Now I only have 1, and I'll work. And even nights that I'm at full capacity, my ring is half as much as it would normally be because people are outside smoking half the night. My bartenders have now become the smoking police. They have to make sure nobody's smoking. It used to be we had to make sure nobody was smoking marijuana. Now we have to make sure they're not smoking cigarettes, which are legal.
Although it's the law, it's tough to enforce, and bar staff are at the sharp end. At this bar in the East Village, a doorman was killed when he asked a customer to put out his cigarette. We found some expat Geordies enjoying the Big Apple's smoke-free bars.
You've been here long enough to know. How's this ban working, do you think?
I think it's great. I think it's the best thing that's happened. I think it's nice going in bars and it's, you don't have this cloud of smoke. I think it's great.
There's a few difficulties with it when you go out with friends and they have to keep going outside for cigarettes and stuff, but altogether I think it's a good thing.
Back home, they reckon the North East could be one of the first areas to try this. Is it going to work?
There's a lot of working men clubs, a lot of places where I just don't think it would work. There's no way it would work.
It's been a hard day's night at our Tyneside boozer, but it's almost lighting up time.
Good stuff. This is getting very hard. I might even start smoking by the end of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, the ashtrays are coming round. Those of you that want to smoke, carry on.
I used to smoke and I've stopped, and sitting in a pub with other people smoking, I feel terrible saying this, but I don't particularly like inhaling other people's smoke.
I think it's actually horrendous, the fact that any government, any politician or any party should decide what you can or cannot do.
45 minutes, you've done really well.
The pub's experiment lasted a few hours, but it seemed like an eternity for the smokers and the landlord.
I wouldn't want to try and enforce it. I think it would be an impossible thing to enforce. If there was legislation telling me to tell people not to smoke, I think I would have great difficulty actually carrying that out. I don't think North East people are ready for it. You heard some of them yourself, quite aggressive, quite strong in their views.
Welcome back to this second spot. I hope everybody's sparked up again. After the pause in the first half.
When asked, most of us say, in theory, we support a ban, but put it to the test and it's tough. It's like asking for the North East to change its culture overnight.
So what do you reckon? Fresh air or the freedom to smoke? You can have your say on our website, bbc.co.uk/inside out. Now down here in the caves of Cheddar Gorge you can see the caverns that cavemen used to call home. This magnificent formation is more than 500,000 years old and it's still growing by a full cubic inch every 4,000 years. So nobody expected to find a new one, especially not in a pub car park.
Lads and lasses, come with me to the village of Bridie in the heart of
Beer and song is a huge part of caving on the Mendips. Since Victorian times, cavers have toasted their latest finds with local ale and noisy ballads.
Boys of the hill.
And more than most, this group have something to sing about. So big is their breakthrough that even the experts from the British Museum are boggle-eyed.
Wet, it's cold, and it's miserable. And it's a Monday morning. But no, you're not seeing things. These men really are in their undies, all in the name of exploration.
3 years ago, unable to get to their normal caves because of the foot and mouth epidemic, the landlord said they should try digging in his car park.
If you'd like to know where you're actually going to,
right,
you start off there, obviously. You'll crawl about as far as the Thunderball.
They started here in a blocked drainage pit. When they hit solid rock, they used dynamite. This is serious caving. Fewer than a dozen people have completed the journey I'm about to attempt.
I'm coming! Yeah.
Well, here goes. Off on a trip back into prehistory.
Sensation.
20 minutes non-stop on my tummy. That takes some doing.
I hope there's something good at the end of this, Tony.
They spent 13 months blasting, then chiselling their way through solid rock.
I'm not prone to panicking, but it made me feel a bit tight-chested in there.
Yeah, it's quite claustrophobic, and today it's even more so with the water in it.
Rival caving teams on the Mendips laughed at them for taking on such a challenge.
I've never been the most dainty of people.
Sort of head first, so put your hands out in front of you.
Okay.
But be careful, because you could end up falling in a bundle. Okay. Which I've done many a time.
Okay, you go first, all right? Oh, God.
But it turned out to be worth it.
Oh, look at that. Looks like something out of Jurassic Park.
Ironically, all the time, 50 metres straight underneath the caver's #1 boozer, there's all this. Some of the finest stalactites on the Mendips have been growing here for 80,000 years. They're formed by water dripping through the limestone.
And when you arrived in this place, did you think I'm the first man ever to have set foot in here?
Absolutely, yeah. There's no feeling like it anywhere on Earth. It's just crazy.
Is that what you do it for?
It is what, yeah, that's what we do it for.
Wow.
It's one of the few places on Earth, or under Earth in this case, that you can actually be the first.
It's quite something, isn't it? Come on.
Okay.
We've come 100 metres, but I'm only halfway through. The cavers promise me it's worth going on.
You're through. You don't want to come.
They believe they've found something at the end of the next tunnel that could be vital new evidence about the history of ancient Britain.
We've already explored one amazing chamber with beautiful formations in it.
Yeah.
I'd taken my welly boots off and tiptoed into here and was astonished that there was more passage. And then, when I turned around and found in front of me there, bones stowed into the ground.
Oh, wow.
There, a fantastic ambition was fulfilled.
How did you know that was a bone?
Just because I've spent more time than is healthy in Wales Museum studying them over the years.
We won't ask any questions, John. And they're all up here, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Can I pick one up?
What could the bones be? Could there even be human remains? These ones are pretty big. Looks like a cow bone to me.
That's what the marrow was.
So how did they get here and when? We're taking some back up top to try to find out.
Wrap them up in this bubble wrap.
Yeah, just wrap them up.
When we were trying to dig our way to break through to the bit at the top here, we found one bone, just solitary bone in amongst the rubble there, and he just went off on it. I found a bone, stop the dig.
For you, was that your caving climax, really?
I wouldn't quite describe it like that.
And now we've got to make our way back. After 7 hours underground, we've definitely earned a pint.
I've never been so pleased to see anybody.
To answer the questions, 2 of the world's top bone boffins have come to Priddy.
Disconcertingly difficult down there because everyone...
Andy Currant, curator of quaternary mammals at the Natural History Museum, which I reckon means he's big on furry animals.
Yeah, it's been a good, interesting trip. We've seen the cave in several new lights.
And the man in the blue anorak, Roger Jacoby, leader of the Ancient Human Occupation in Britain project. Clearly very important.
I don't know if you want to look at these now or in the pub.
No, let's look at them in the pub. I'm going to take the initiative on that one.
So we await with interest your views.
The moment of truth. They're bison bones and they're 80,000 years old. During the Ice Age, they roamed freely in this area.
The bison, that's the bottom end, that's the ankle.
and the knee would be up there. The knee's gone, and it looks like it's been gnawed away by an animal.
Oh, really?
Gnawed bones.
The Hunters Pub is at the very heart of the caving community. Yet cavers over the decades had no idea that right beneath their feet was exactly what they'd all been looking for.
As long as about 150.
So what do the bones actually tell us? Well, a bit about our history.
Humans are continually coming and going.
Are they?
And there seems to be an enormously long gap, perhaps 200,000 years to 50,000 years ago, with no evidence of humans at all. And what's very interesting, Andy and myself, looking at these bones, have seen no evidence on any of them for cut marks or chop marks or any human interference.
Even more important than John could have imagined. But just how important?
I think this site shows all the signs of potentially being one of the great Mendip bone caves, along with Bleeden and Hutton and the Hyneden at Wookey Hole. I think the last time we might have had a cave of this importance could have been 100, 150 years ago.
Wow.
I think if anything I take from the discovery and hearing the information from Roger and Andy is just the power, the inspirational power that this material has is astonishing.
If it hadn't have been for the boot and mouth, perhaps they never...
So the cavers are in seventh heaven. A new cave means a new song and more beer.
Oh, when they'd passed the hanging death, young Tangent went off looking. He shouted back, I found some bones, it must be from Jackie's cooking.
Tessa Dunlop underground here in the Mendips, ending tonight's programme. But on next week's Inside Out Extra,
we'll investigate why dozens of teenagers from this seaside town in Kent were locked up by the FBI in America. There goes the neighbourhood. What happens when students take over your street? And 150 feet down, the last missing German U-boats are found.
I'm Orlan Sanders, and that was Inside Out Extra.
This is a public road! You've got no right to do this to us!
Are we prepared for the future?
We have got a right to protect our residents.
If the gap between rich and poor widens.
Gated communities tap into deep-seated fear of others, fear of crime.
The drama is fiction, but the issue is real. It's becoming almost an apartheid now of rich and poor. I fear for the future. If things don't get better, tonight at 9 on BBC Two, it's your wake-up call.
Some stomach-churning delights that thankfully didn't make it onto our supermarket shelves. The food police are after illegal imports. In 5 minutes, they're on BBC One.
St. Patrick's Day, Budget Day, call it what you will. This could be the day your life changes forever. Live from the BBC Television Centre in London, news of tonight's Thunderball, Lotto and Lotto Extra draws with Eamon Holmes.
Alan, thank you very much. Welcome to these midweek St. Patrick's Night draws, and I hope you're having a very jolly St. Patrick's Day, because we're all Irish today, really, Gigi, aren't we?
Indeed, I'm loving this shamrock, and my eyeshadow is green just for you.
Lovely. We would have pinned a shamrock on Gigi, but there weren't enough clothes. Anyway, while you're still sober and haven't had a tipple, can you give us the news on the Thunderball?
I certainly can. Eamon, there are some very happy faces out there tonight, and that's because Saturday's draw created over 200,000 winners, of which 1,000 won £100. So congratulations to you, and let's hope the big money balls, as Alan calls them, creates even more winners tonight.
Right, okay, well, balls of another sort. These aren't so many big ones, but they're good anyway. Here we go.
The really big money on Saturday was bagged by just one of you scooping the Thunderball jackpot. Someone is a cool £250,000 better off today. All that for matching with all 6 balls we're about to draw. The 5 from this first machine and the all-important Thunderball. Let's see if you can do it tonight. Are you more? I believe the expression is. Eamon.
Okay, I'll hit this with my shillelagh. Here we go.
I was never good at the Gaelic, you know. And there's the first one tonight, 25! Probably means something else altogether. Number 4! And here is the third one this Wednesday night, 24. Probably said something very embarrassing. 17! And then to complete the set from our first machine, how'd you fancy that one? Number 2. Okay, let's move to the Thunderball machine itself now. Start it up, please, Drawmaster McLaws, and release the 14 red Thunderballs. There they go. Now, depending on how many you've matched with so far, tonight's Thunderball could boost your winnings dramatically. By the way, our independent adjudicator tonight is Big Phil Sayers. Sheesh.
Hey, so are the balls being kind to you tonight? You've only got one number, don't worry, as you're still in with a chance. If you match with the all-important Thunderball coming up, you could be chuffed to bits collecting prizes starting at £5, but rising to an amazing £250,000. Good luck.
Indeed, here we go.
Let's get ourselves chuffed. Let's see which one it is. There it is, number 11. Let's take a look then at tonight's Thunderball numbers again, but this time in ascending order. Makes it easier. Number 2, number 4, number 17, number 24, and number 25. The Thunderball tonight is number 11. Eamon.
Okay, now it's time for the lotto draw.
So let's release those St. Patrick's Day balls. And tonight is Moonstone and Centreballs number 6 that we're using. That was the random choice earlier today of Jane Bullen from that jewel in the East, Great Yarmouth. Eamon.
And the lotto prize fund tonight, where it stands, here's Gigi.
Okay, the estimated prize fund in tonight's lotto is £9.4 million. That would make the jackpot £2.9 million. Don't forget, you can win prizes on this very draw if you've got a hot picks ticket too.
Okay, let us hope that the luck of the Irish is with you. Here we go.
Good luck to you from me too. Here we go. Eyes down, look in. The first one is about to appear. There it is, 13 to 16-year-olds from a troubled Wrexham estate were kept away from trouble last summer with a huge bit of lottery help. Next out is number 38. Fifth draw in just 3 weeks. Still way ahead of any other number, that 159th outing in the lotto. Next is 43, drawn last week and on the last 3 Saturday nights, 136th lotto outing for that one. And here's the next. That's number 30. With a grant from the New Opportunities Fund, some 30 new places have been funded at a nursery in Leicester. Next is number 5 for £5,000. Helped set up a new helpline in Darlington for men, giving them a chance to talk about issues affecting them. Next is number 42 tonight. Last joined us all of 4 Saturdays back, 113th lotto outing for that one. If you need a bonus, tonight's is number 4. So let's take a look, shall we, at this Wednesday's winning lotto numbers in ascending order. Number 5, number 16, number 30, number 38, number 42, and to go with that, number 43. The bonus, number 4. Mr. Holmes.
The Lotto Extra was drawn just before we came on air in front of Phil, our independent adjudicator. The jackpot, £3.9 million. Alan has the rest.
Tonight we use Topaz and set of extra balls number 4, Eamon, thanks to Jane. And here are the winning numbers. Number 6, number 26, number 30, number 31, number 33, and number 42. Now, according to Lottery HQ, no winning tickets again tonight. If that's confirmed later tonight, then on Saturday we could well be playing for around £4.1 million.
Well, I hope you won some money tonight, big or small. 3 more chances to win. Come Jet Set on Saturday. Now, what about Jet Set? Sarah, she's still winning, yeah. After 9 weeks, and she's still screaming as well. But will she still be smiling come Saturday night? Well, you know what to do. You can find out 25 to 8 on Saturday night on this St. Patrick's night. Have a good one. Good night.
Still to come on BBC One.
What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? What are you doing here, more like?
Would you care to tell me what is going on inside that dark head of yours?
I'm running away.
That's Wednesday night on BBC One.
She attends art classes twice a week. Crazy about it.
Damien, welcome to the class.
Thank you.
So if you wouldn't mind undressing, we'll get started.
Hustle, the con is on. Tuesday at 9, BBC One.
How pigeons actually find their way home over unfamiliar ground. The Animal Camera reveals the answers here on BBC One in half an hour.
Tonight on the Food Police. How safe is the food that comes into Britain from abroad? Exposing the illegally smuggled meat in passenger luggage. And the shocking truth about the dangers of a family favourite, Brazil nuts.
Checkers vacated runway 09 right.
2001, Britain was hit by foot and mouth. Over 3 million sheep and cows had to be slaughtered. There were worries about animal and food safety. No one was able to trace the exact origin of the disease, and so since then, there's been a crackdown on any possible sources. Customs and excise authorities are now targeting smuggled meat, fish and dairy products in people's luggage.
You carry any foodstuffs at all? Alcohol? Thank you.
Madam, please. Can you tell me where you're from today, please? You're from the United States. Are you carrying any food items through? Just candy. That's all you have? Yeah. Enjoy. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
On the front line is Toby Hyde and his specially trained black Labrador, Hesky. Over 3 months of special training has given him a nose for the job. Hesky's onto something.
Got any food or anything, have you? Dog's trained to find meat, fish and dairy products. It's actually illegal to bring it into the country. Yeah. You just leave the bag there. Okay, I just want to reward him for finding it, okay? Okay. Good boy. Good lad. All right.
Having sniffed out biltong, a South African dried meat delicacy, Hesky's rewarded with a tasty piece of meat of his own. As the passenger thinks the search is over, she's off, but the team are on her trail.
Excuse me, madam. Did you just throw that biltong in the bin?
I just threw a sandwich in the bin.
Oh, right. What was in the sandwich?
Just a bit of meat, which the dog sniffed out, and I got some biltong as well.
Right, the sandwich you should have kept as well, so I'll have to go and get that out of the bin.
Okay, sorry about it. That's just... It's just a sandwich.
Yeah,
Some
I'll
meat in it.
Yes, doesn't make any difference. It's still illegal, so I'll have to go and get that, and then I'll come back and I'll deal with you in the channels. Thank you. Just retrieve the sandwich from the bin.
Of course, people think you're petty. They either think it's a joke when you're bagging up their sandwich or cheese sandwich, ham sandwich. But previously, before transferring over to customs, myself and Steph worked in animal welfare.
Right, if I could just have your passport, please.
We were both involved with the swine fever and the foot and mouth. I spent one night walking up and down a funeral pyre with a pitchfork scooping back the body parts, the hooves, the heads that have fallen out of the fire, because everything had to be burnt down. Once you've seen that and then come to do something like this, then obviously it brings it home to you the importance of what you're doing.
This leaflet tells you in future what you can and can't say.
All of the passengers' meat has been confiscated and is heading for the incinerator, while she's now heading for her holiday.
Okay, if you just go through that door there. Cheers.
Over a third of the food we eat in Britain comes from abroad, and every point of entry has to be policed. The Port of Southampton has 7 officers and deals with over 220,000 tonnes of imported food every year. Today, a potentially dangerous cargo has just arrived. The food inspection team must wear protective clothing, as even the dust of this shipment could be lethal.
The sample may contain a toxin that is harmful and is carcinogenic. And basically we need to protect ourselves from this chemical.
The officers are not taking any chances, as even inhaling the toxins can be cancerous.
This is breathing equipment. This is the battery that powers the positive pressure suit. It's a positive pressure suit. Right, so that'll come down. Twist on and a twist off.
All right.
Okay then.
And the deadly cargo? Brazil nuts from South America. While the nuts may appear harmless, there's been a major food hazard warning alerting authorities across Europe that the nuts could contain a lethal mould invisible to the human eye. The mould is called an aflatoxin, a naturally occurring growth on all sorts of nuts and dried fruit in tropical countries. Aflatoxins have been linked to liver cancer in the past, and so there are strict regulations to test potentially dangerous imports. With over 2,000 sacks, the sampling process must be meticulous.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon we're going to have the aflatoxins?
I haven't seen any mould or anything like that, but I don't think, you never know really. I think it's just sort of trial and error.
But team leader Sandra Westacott wants to hazard a guess which sack contains the aflatoxins.
That one there. Okay, that one. That one.
Oh. And how do you know? Is this a secret or this is right? This is witchery, right?
Not everyone has always been aware of the dangers. Not even other inspectors.
We had an officer years ago now. He's gone, and he, we'd be talking about the nut products all the time. He was a great big fellow, and he was just like this with nuts all the time. And we were saying, you don't know. And then we started getting the results coming back through. I'm thinking, oh, you're mad.
It will take several weeks for all the sacks to be tested. Only then will they discover if the deadly aflatoxins are present or the nuts are safe to eat. Toby and Heskey are on the hunt for more smuggled food. And it's not just meat Heskey's trained to sniff out.
You wouldn't happen to have any food in there like cheese, would you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, lovely. Okay, good.
Now directed to the customs channels, the passengers must be further questioned by Officer Stephanie.
Just need to ask you a few questions first. Where have you travelled from today?
From Istanbul.
Turkey. Are these all your bags? Did you pack them yourself?
Yes.
Closer inspection is revealing a lot more than just cheese.
That's the meat, yeah?
Which one's that one?
That one, the sausages, yeah?
Can't have that either.
No, you're not allowed any meat at all.
While this search has gone well and a variety of food has been confiscated, the team can remember other times when they've been faced with upset passengers wanting to take their own, very personal revenge.
Previous times from doing the Turkish flight, I've had curses put on me for seizing, I think it was a goat skin. You know when someone's doing things with their fingers and stuff, that means it's a curse, so that's what happens. I had a lot of bad luck after that. Had my car stolen and my laptop stolen, so I don't think it's quite worn off yet. So.
Are you a superstitious person?
Yeah, I salute magpies and everything else. Yeah, so don't walk under ladders. Yeah, so I'd say I am in some ways, but it doesn't. I don't let it affect my life.
With 1,000 flights coming into Heathrow daily, the customs team use intelligence to help target incoming planes. The team know the next flight in will contain large amounts of banned food. In Southampton, the Brazil nuts are being detained until the lab results are back. But as one of the country's busiest seaports, the food inspection work can never stop. A mysterious container from Thailand has arrived. It's down to Sandra to check its contents. She's been in food safety for 20 years, and there's something about this particular shipment that's raised her suspicions.
We've already got stuff coming out of the container that's not listed on the packing list, so this is obviously going to cause more difficulties. We have on the cartons some sort of glove. Well, that's certainly not on the packing list. I think what I'm concerned about now is that because of the sort of the level of lack of control that we've seen and the level of confusion, that there were smuggled goods in here too. Let me just go and get a knife.
Sandra's problem is a simple one. The container's contents list doesn't seem to match what's inside. If it's not checked thoroughly, banned food and drink could get into the country that's dangerous to consume.
Might be pond water, mightn't it?
This box is carrying more than she bargained for. And it's alive.
Did you see that? I didn't. How big was it? Oh, there he is. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
I bought one of.
Oh, we got another one as
There's
well.
quite a few in there. Just pop her in.
Better go and have a look, see how many's there, because we might have to have it fumigated before.
Although the spider seems small and harmless, it's important none escape, as coming from Thailand they could threaten the delicate balance of Britain's ecosystem. The container seems to be full of them.
There are quite. He's got the spider in the box. He's just had a look in as well. We've seen some over the back moving around.
So it is better to remove the container and have it properly fumigated now to prevent any infestation problems.
Sandra's keen to know what dangerous and possibly even smuggled food the container may hold. But for now, she'll just have to wait until it's fumigated. It's 5:30 in the morning. The flight customs have been waiting for has landed. But surprisingly, Toby wants to put Heskey back in his kennel. Concerned about the amount of meat and fish expected, Heskey's sense of smell could be overwhelmed.
A certain flight up there is a bit like taking a dog into a fishmonger's and saying, point out the mackerel to me. It's too much for them. You don't need a dog. It's not a dog job, basically. They can smell it when they come through, and it might be on that belt there. So to pinpoint it out amongst all of that is very, very difficult for them.
With it hard to get hold of some exotic meat and fish delicacies in Britain, many people bring them back from abroad, totally unaware that they're illegal and potentially dangerous. But not knowing the new regulations is no excuse as the officers begin their work.
Okay, the bags here, your bags?
Yes, please.
Okay, all the contents are yours?
Yes, please.
You pack them yourself?
Yes, please.
Any meat is totally...
No meat, no, I don't have.
Okay, meat is totally and utterly prohibited.
While the passenger denies having any meat, a suspicious unattended bag has been found and needs to be checked.
Sir?
And Toby spotted someone from the same flight whose luggage he's keen to check.
Hello, madam. Just go up to the desk for a second, please. Got this one here. Okay. Okay, you've entered the green nothing to declare channel of customs. Do you have anything to declare? You got any meat, fish or dairy products? Absolutely sure? Beef? No? Okay, I'm just going to have a look through your bags anyway, please.
No one's admitting to having packed any meat.
That's for malaria.
For malaria?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have malaria?
Yeah.
But the officers have only just started their search.
All right. Okay.
So I had a look at the tags and come from Africa, and also could smell something, so I thought it was worth a look.
It doesn't look terribly well packed. Is that typical?
Yeah, it is quite typical.
That's bitter leaf.
Bitter leaf?
Yeah, we use it to cook. It's like spinach.
Spinach?
Yes.
Okay. Makes you nice and strong, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, tell me what that is.
That's honey.
That's honey?
Even without his sniffer dog, Toby's relying on his own sense of smell.
I can smell snails, I think. Okay. Is that the only bag of snails you've got?
Yeah.
That is, okay. These are the giant land snails, obviously without the shell.
Toby's not the only one to have found something suspicious.
This is?
Snails. No,
Snails? Yeah, okay. All right, I'm afraid snails are banned.
Okay,
They're prohibited. Okay. I realise you didn't know.
I didn't know, no, I didn't know.
This is all snails?
Yeah.
All right, but it's meat.
Is it meat?
Yeah.
Oh.
All the searching is beginning to pay off.
Oh yeah. From the smell, I would say that was fish. It has a very distinctive smell, which gets worse the longer the cases lie around.
It's illegal to bring in any meat products, and it will be seized.
Oh.
Okay, snails comes under meat.
That's a lot of money.
Can't allow that. Can't allow the snails, and I can't allow custard. Okay.
Not even custard.
Not even. No, sorry.
If I knew, I wouldn't spend my money in it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
There are a lot of disappointed passengers.
Are you annoyed? It's taking a lot of food that my children have to eat. Yeah, I'm not pleased. It's not fair. No, it's not fair because that's what we eat as an African, you know. So we don't eat any other thing. We use it to cook soup. But since it's not fair, like, what can I do?
With all the food confiscated on this one flight alone, it's been a successful morning. But with an average of 50 flights an hour, Customs and Excise must remain vigilant.
Excuse me?
But they're not the only ones on the front line at Heathrow. Mark Holden is an environmental health officer. He checks food cargo that arrives at the airport. He's aware of a new smuggling scam, concealing quantities of illegal fish in fruit and vegetable boxes. Because vegetable shipments are not subject to the same checks as meat and fish, it's a lot easier to smuggle illegal food into the country if it's hidden amongst this type of cargo.
We do get people smuggling through, declaring things as fruit and veg. Yeah, you'll find that underneath there there'll be a nice layer of smoked fish or something like that. There's so many ways that they could hide things in here. Things like cassava flour, again, we quite often find black plastic bags of fish and meat hidden in things like flour that they know that as soon as we open this, it's going to go everywhere. So it makes life difficult for us to find it. Strong smelling vegetables like onions used to be quite often used to cover up the smell of the fish, for example.
With several tons of fresh fruit and veg flying into the airport every month, Mark's worried about some smuggled fish that slipped through the checks and is somewhere in East London. In Tower Hamlets, environmental health officers Adrian and Kate have been tipped off by Heathrow about this illegal fish. They're on the hunt to track it down.
Hello there. It's from the Environmental Health Department.
Have you got any fish here?
No.
Or just vegetables. Is that right? Yeah.
As part of the food team, Kate wants to have a good look round.
So, the vegetables that you have, they come in from Bangladesh and that part of the world, and that comes in through Heathrow?
At the back of the warehouse, Kate thinks she's onto something.
What we're going to do, we're just going to have a little look in the warehouse.
There is light there.
There is? All right. Can you bring a box over and we'll have a look at it.
Fish has been found.
Let's pop it on there.
Yeah.
It's been packed in jars and no one can smell it.
Not from Bangladesh.
Okay.
Buying from here.
Oh, buying. Who from? Which company
Yeah,
did you buy from?
The next step is to confiscate all the fish they can find and try and hunt down the person behind the smuggling operation, the importer.
Bye-bye. Well, not a big hole, but ball fruit.
Back in Southampton, Sandra's shipment is back from being fumigated and should now be spider-free.
That's your fumigation certificate that has been fumigated because we had the insect infestation in there.
At last she'll be able to get to the bottom of what's really in the container. But just to complicate matters, none of the box labels seem to bear any relation to what they're finding. The whole shipment is in such a mess. Sandra's worried it could well contain food that's hazardous to human health.
What to sample?
So what are you going to sample everything or?
No, I've got to make a decision based on what I think might be the problem and how to best use the money resource for sampling that we have. Okay, I've got some chili powder here that I am very interested in because there have been a number of occasions where we found salmonella bacteria and Escherichia coli bacteria in curry powder. Some of these products are not prepared in a hygienic way and there may be insects crawling over the spices when they're being dried.
Some jelly sweets have also caught their eye.
Are you going to take any samples of these, Sandra?
Yeah, I think we'll do colours on these as well.
They're very bright.
Yeah, they are very bright and they're for children as well again.
And lots of these as well.
Lots of these. Oh, they're the right ease though. I am ever surprised at the willingness of some individuals, only some, to try to put food on the market that is perhaps not only poor quality, but really very, very dangerous without any care for the safety of the individual.
The curry powder and sweets are heading to the lab for extensive testing to see if Sandra's suspicions are correct. The sweets are boiled down to their liquid form. Samples of each are then placed onto specially glazed plates. The bright colouring is what concerns Sandra and the team. It'll be 24 hours before it's known if the sweets contain any banned colourings. In Tower Hamlets, they have a lead on the illegal fish being smuggled in amongst fruit and veg shipments. The food team are going to raid the person they believe is behind the whole smuggling operation. Knowing their suspect normally starts work at 3 in the morning, they want to catch him early. Worried there could be trouble, they're armed with a warrant, police escort, and backup.
You say it's normally open? It says its normal operating hours are between 3 and 7 and 8. These teeth are fine.
No one seems to be around, so a locksmith's on his way so they can gain entry.
From the outside. The Environment and Health have got their own locksmiths coming down if you need to at 4:30.
Yeah, that's all saved. Cheers,
While they're waiting, they find something suspicious just outside.
It's been security checked it. So it's come through some airport. It's left a receipt here. And there appears to be a few things on here that I recognise. Pooty, I understand pooty's a type of dried fish. They're labelled as S by him there, and pooty.
4:30 a.m. They'll soon be able to get inside the lockup.
Doing some lights.
As head of the team, the first thing Ken must do is get rid of anything dangerous.
There's some knives here. Sticking these in the box and sticking them in the car. In case the guy turns up and decides he might not like the thought of our being here. Right then.
The search for the illegal fish can begin.
It's like the biscuits.
Okay.
Biscuits, I think.
Really?
Kate thinks she's found something.
Oh, well done. Moment of truth. Oh, jackpot. More small dried fish. These are the pooty fish. They smell a bit, don't they? Stink.
At last, they're finding the evidence they've been looking for.
Pooty fish.
It'll be some time before they collate all the evidence against the importer and can consider bringing charges against him. But in the meantime, they've netted an important catch. At Southampton, the laboratory results are back for the cargo shipment from Thailand.
The results came back for the chili powder. Chili powder was found to be contaminated with salmonella bacteria. And the jelly sweets contained an unauthorised, a non-permitted colour in them. We're going to have to reject this cargo, and we will be looking to have it destroyed.
The Brazil nut tests have also been completed and reveal they do contain the dangerous aflatoxins linked to liver cancer. The entire cargo, all 57 tons of it, will also be destroyed.
We are very pleased when we've hit on a problem and have prevented it going through for human consumption.
New technology seeing a world beyond our own senses. Animal Camera is next on BBC One.
Speak Your Mind on BBC Radio 5 Live.
The long-lost son finally returns, but in the process triggers some shocking revelations. Uncomfortable family business here on BBC One in half an hour.
In our modern world, advances in technology are changing how we look at everything, including animals. And it's animals that are inspiring many of our smartest high-tech gadgets. In the future, what was once the realm of science fiction will soon become science fact.